I was at a crossroads. I was kind of stuck. There were so many different creative directions to go into. I had been taking surface design classes, but being in this class, it really a love of design for me. I'm a graphic designer and I had gotten away from it quite a bit. And coming back to it, I just realized how much I love designing. And more importantly, I love the process of it too. And with quilt design, there's so much process and kind of working through that as well. And it really lit a fuse. So I can't thank you enough, Ali, on that one.
Welcome to A Creative Odyssey. I'm Ryde. I'm a designer, an entrepreneur, and online educator obsessed with all things design, quilting, and creative business. Whether you're a seasoned quilter or you're just starting out, whether you're passionate about design and textiles, or whether you're a creative business geek who loves to nerd out on all the moving parts that go into making a creative business thrive, you are in the right place. I'm excited to share insights from my creative odyssey with you as I navigate design, creativity, and growing an online business on this journey as a creative entrepreneur. Are you ready to explore the possibilities of design and discover the world of creative business? It's time to embark on a creative odyssey. Welcome to this special episode of A Creative Odyssey. Today on the show, I am sharing a live call with you that I had with some of the alumni of my course, Quilt Design Code. Now, these incredible alumni are going to be sharing all of the different ways that they've been taking action on what they learned during my signature 8-week course, Quilt Design Code, including why you should sign up for this program if you're considering becoming a quilt pattern designer, as well as their advice for anyone who's still sitting on the fence about joining the program. I am truly honored to say that to this day, I am continuing to work with these incredible women in my mentoring program that I run for Quilt Design Code alumni as they continue to grow their creative businesses. I am interested in forging long-term relationships with creatives like you who want to continue to grow a creative business. You want to discover and explore quilt pattern design as a part of that. And I'm interested in welcoming you into this community that I'm growing for long-term relationships as well. If becoming a quilt pattern designer and starting your own creative business is something that you've been considering and you'd really like to hear from alumni about their first-hand experience in the course, as well as all of the exciting things that they've been accomplishing since taking the course, stay tuned now. I'm going to be chatting to 4 incredible alumni. And even if you're not really sure that becoming a quilt pattern designer is something that you want to do, or if this course is right for you, stay tuned anyway and listen to this incredible creative journey that these 4 women have been on. I know that you are going to find some inspiration here. So I'm incredibly excited to share with you some of the journey of 4 of my Quilt Design Code alumni: Tracey Pereira, a long arm quilting teacher and digital designer from the UK; Debra Maher, a surface designer and quilt pattern designer from the US; Ann Klos, a surface designer and quilt pattern designer from the US as well; and Simpson, who's a quilting educator, a surface designer and quilt pattern designer from Canada. If you would like more information about Quilt Design Code, including the link to enroll during this open enrollment period, head to allyryde.com/QDC, Quilt Design Code, QDC. So here we go. Let's jump in and find out more about the incredible creative journeys of these 4 Quilt Design Code alumni. I am super excited because today in this call, I have some fantastic Quilt Design Code alumni here on the call with me, and I'm going to introduce them to you right now. I've got Jo. Jo is a Canadian surface designer and quilt pattern writer. She is joining us from Canada, up on a lake somewhere, which sounds fantastic. And we've got Ann. Ann is a surface designer and quilt maker and pattern writer based in Cape Coral, Florida as well. Nice and warm down there, I'm sure. Tracey is our UK-based long-arm quilting teacher and digital designer, joining us from the UK. Welcome, Tracey. Thanks so much for joining us. And Deb is a surface designer and illustrator living in southeastern Massachusetts. So these are all other amazing quilt designers on the call with us tonight. These are all Quilt Design Code alumni. And we're going to just talk through a few questions about, their experience in Quilt Design Code and what they've been working on since taking the program. So let's start with a couple of things here. We're going to start with, what was it that made you sign up for the course? And Tracey, I'll throw it open to you to get started if you don't mind. So what was it that made you want to sign up for the course for Quilt Design Code?
Well, a couple of things really, but in the main, I knew that I wouldn't do anything if I did it on my own. I needed the support of a group. I needed the support of, I needed someone to push me. And Ali's fantastic. She doesn't push you, but she certainly tells you what you need to be thinking about. So for me, that's really the main thing. But there was lots of other things in between as well. I mean, I'd written patterns before, but I wasn't sure if I was writing them correctly. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing, and I just needed to know more about it. So you certainly told me and gave me all the information.
Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. How about you, Anne? What was it that made you want to sign up for the course? Because I know you had a kind of surface design background. What was it that made you really want to sign up for a quilt pattern writing course?
Well, I took your, your little workshop, and I had always wanted to do it, and then the workshop sealed the deal. And I liked you as a teacher. I liked how you taught, and that it just really did it for me. And I'm so very glad I did.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, there's plenty of people on the call tonight here who have been in the workshop all this week as well. You guys have been showing up to all of the calls. It's been fantastic seeing your faces every day, pretty much the last week. So absolutely. I'm so glad that you found value in that workshop as well. Awesome. All right. I wanted to ask now, I wanted to kind of move on a little bit, how did taking Quilt Design Code, how did it impact you? So I might throw this open to Deb. How did taking Quilt Design Code kind of change things for you? What kind of impact did it make on you taking a course like this one?
It was a huge impact, actually. Before taking your class, I was at a crossroads. I was kind of stuck. There were so many different creative directions to go into. I had been taking surface design classes with some of the big people out there that I think a lot of us have been taking classes with. In fact, that's where I first saw you, Ali, was on, you had done a segment for Bonnie's class, and that was fantastic. But being in this class, it really helped me. It really a love of design for me. I'm a graphic designer, and I had gotten away from it quite a bit. And coming back to it, I just realized how much I love designing, and more importantly, I love the process of it too. And with quilt design, there's so much process and kind of working through that as well. And it really lit a fuse. So I can't thank you enough, Ali, on that one.
Oh, amazing. I have seen the results of this fuse. It's been lit, Deb. It's been pretty incredible to watch. So yeah, pretty exciting. Thank you. How about you, Jo? How did the course kind of impact you as well? I know that you were also kind of in the surface design phase, and you have some quilting experience as well. So what impact did the course make for you?
Before this course, I was doing the fabric designs and then trying to put them into quilt mock-ups and make a design, right? And then I'd have to go redo my fabric designs. So I thought, if I do the quilt pattern first, then I know what fabric I want to put into it. And that helped. And much like Anne with the workshops, that really helped develop a style, right? And I had so many to choose from, and then I knew the course I would get one done, right? Like it would be solid. So yeah, just the whole follow through and the whole process. Yeah, it's just been wonderful.
Fantastic. Yeah. Jo, I have been talking about you this week as well, or most of you I've been talking about on the program this week in the workshop. Jo is the one who's sat down and came up with these 20 design ideas just in one session following the design process. And a couple of those I think have become quilt patterns since then. They've been informing different blocks and things. Even the quilt pattern that you took into Quilt Design Code, I believe that was related to the design process that you came through at the beginning of the workshop as well. So super exciting to see how that pattern developed during the program as well. Super, super fun. Awesome. I would like to throw it open now to you to talk a little bit about what is it like taking the course. I know that most of you here on the call were already familiar with Adobe Illustrator. So what was it like taking the course, being already a little bit familiar with Adobe, or a lot familiar with Adobe Illustrator? Deb, I believe you used it for your professional career for many years. So what is it like coming into the program, even though you're already familiar with Adobe Illustrator? Maybe I'll throw that open to you, Deb, to start with.
Sure. For me, there definitely I had a little bit of a leg up with major familiarity with Photoshop and InDesign. However, there were so many things that I learned, or, additional things that I hadn't been using for a while, that I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's a new way of handling that. And with any of these, they're all tools. So, it's looking at, it brought some new ways to use familiar tools. And I loved it. There was, it's always interesting to see how people go about utilizing Illustrator and Photoshop, because there's so many different ways of doing it. And it did it. There were quite a few tips and tricks, and definitely a lot of areas where I was able to tighten up my process, specifically for quilt design too. So
yeah, that's cool. Awesome. How about you, Tracey? Because I know that you were also using Illustrator for quite a lot of things.
Yeah, I've been using Illustrator for a while. So Illustrator was not something I was particularly concerned about, but I definitely learned things. I mean, it wasn't all familiar to me. There were a few things that I learned. InDesign was completely new, so that's something that I am still learning, actually. And I keep going back to the videos that we did on the course, and it's really good that you can go back and say, okay, let me just, because I'm not using it all the time, so it's good to keep on going back and checking the videos and, okay, that's how you do it. So, but yeah, I've been using InDesign to actually do notes for classes. So that's been good.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
Yeah. And other little things like getting an appraisal form made up for after class, that kind of thing, things that I wouldn't have done before. So, and they look so much more professional. So.
That's fantastic. Yeah, they're super powerful tools. I mean, once you learn the skills for Illustrator and InDesign, you can just apply them to a lot of different areas as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. I did also invite another one of my alumni on the call, Alison. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make the call, but she did send me through some messages here. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that, because Alison came into Quilt Design Code and she had no Adobe Illustrator experience. She'd never opened the programs before. She'd never used Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, any of the Adobe programs. She was brand new to this, okay? In fact, I'm going to just read you her answer here, okay? This is what she sent me in an email today. I've never used Adobe Illustrator and InDesign before being in Quilt Design Code. In fact, I didn't have a compatible laptop for Adobe, so the start was a real challenge of determination. She eventually managed to borrow a laptop that had Windows 10, and she was able to install the programs. This is a testament to Alison's resourcefulness. It's incredible. Here's Alison's words again. It's a challenge learning something completely new. However, Ali's tuition covers everything in stages, starting from the very beginning, and every stage is thoroughly explained. There's videos, live Zoom question and answers, and Ali's support and encouragement is amazing. I asked so many questions. I was always asking questions on Zoom and by email, and Ali went over things for me that I didn't understand until I understood it. Even if I asked about the same thing more times, Ali would explain it again and even make extra videos until I understood. Ali was always encouraging and really positive about my questions and helping me out. So she's now on the verge of releasing her first pattern. She has gone through this learning phase of learning Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign as well. So, testament to her. And I noticed that there was a question that just came through in the chat too from Gail. I know nothing about Illustrator and InDesign. How much of the class is learning the software? The first 4 modules are learning Illustrator and InDesign. So the majority of the course is focused on learning the skills in these software programs to be able to complete the quilt pattern itself. In addition to that, it's not just Illustrator tutorials, it's not just InDesign tutorials, it's also the other components that go into, how do you think about writing instructions? How do you think about design? Like we do a big section at the beginning of the classes on design itself as well. So that's kind of a little bit about what it's like taking the program. If you've got some experience in Illustrator already, and if you also you don't have anything, I don't know, Joe or Ann, did you want to add anything about coming into Quilt Design Code with Illustrator or InDesign, or how you felt about those programs?
Yeah, I'll talk. Well, I knew Illustrator from a circus pattern design type. That's what I was taught. And when I took this class, there were so many more little techniques and things I didn't even know existed. And then InDesign, I was completely new, but it was taught wonderfully so that I actually use it in my other business now to make things instead of using like Microsoft Publisher. So it was really, really nice to get to know InDesign. It's a cool program.
Yeah, it is. It's super powerful. Yeah. Joe, did you want to add anything about, you also had some experience in Illustrator with surface design before coming into Quilt Design Code?
Yes, and with InDesign, doing my portfolio. And I did pick up quite a bit, right? Like I thought I was quite proficient, but it is a huge program, right? And I did learn a lot from you, Allie. And I was thinking of Allison, right? How she started at installing it, right? So that was really neat how you helped her and she just got it, right? It was.
Yeah, really, like from literally how do you download and install Adobe Illustrator onto your computer? We go from that level all the way to, you know, some more in-depth advanced techniques or different tips and tricks that you might not know about Adobe Illustrator that people who, you know, everybody uses it in a different way. It's such a vast program. So that kind of gives you a little bit of perspective, I hope, on somebody who's coming to the program with no skills in Illustrator or InDesign, and some people who already have some skills in that program as well. I want to ask you, ladies, to tell me a little bit about your accomplishments since you've taken the course. You know, take off those modesty hats and tell me about the amazing things that you've been doing since taking the course. So, Tracey, I'm going to open this one up to you to start with. What's an accomplishment you've had since taking this course? I know you've had a few.
Can I do my biggest and best one so far?
Yes, absolutely.
So I've been doing in the main, I teach and I do I do long arm patterns, digital patterns for long arm quilting, computerized patterns. And I have licensed to 2 companies. I was previously licensed to them, but I wasn't doing anything with them. So I have been able to push forward on that. And then I now have a big portfolio with those. I have my own portfolio as well on Etsy and my own website, which I wouldn't have done had it not been for the course. And so last month, I got my biggest quarterly commission to date, and it was enough that my family went, "Woohoo! She can do it."
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
The biggest thing. The fact I got recognition from the family for something that I was doing. So yeah, that was me.
Fantastic, Tracey. Super, super awesome. Love hearing that story. So cool. How about you, Deb? What's one big accomplishment you've had since taking the course? What's something that's really stood out for you since taking Quilt Design Code?
Well, actually, business clarity. I have finally, I have a clear direction of where I'm going, to the point where I have a quilt pattern that's put together, and I'm putting or about to release a mini collection of fabric patterns that are going to be available on Spoonflower. And those tie into what I'm doing with the quilt pattern. So it's a complete package. And so I am so excited. In fact, I was working this week on revamping my website to dovetail in or to showcase my new direction and where things are going. So it's a huge, huge win for me after taking Quilt Design Code and really getting focus on and clarity on where I wanted to go. And I'm ecstatic. I'm over the moon. Walking around last week, I was just like, I'm doing this, so that's my accomplishment. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, really finding that pathway, doing Quilt Design Code, matching up your skills as a surface designer with those skills that you developed in Quilt Design Code. I think that really gave you that kind of spearhead for, okay, this is what I'm moving forward with now. So I think that was really powerful. Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. How about you, Anne? Tell us about an accomplishment you've had since taking Quilt Design Code.
Well, I finished up the first quilt pattern. I have the second one mostly documented, and I've sewn it. So I'm getting ready to probably put those on the website and launch them.
Fantastic.
I've just been a little busy with other things.
It happens to the best of us. So that's fantastic. So you're already on pattern number 2, getting ready to launch them. That's amazing. Super good. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Really cool. How about you, Joe? You've done a few things since finishing up with Quilt Design Code as well. How did that program help you just to launch into these things that you've been achieving since the program?
Yes, along with having my quilt patterns for my portfolio, I got approached by a fabric designer to ghostwrite a quilt for her. And ghostwrite, I don't know if you'll know, but it's where you write the pattern, and in this case, I made the quilt too, and then you sell it to them. They take it, put their own branding on it. Your name's not on it. It's just for them. Right.
Wow,
So,
amazing.
yeah. So she doesn't sew. So she approached me and asked if I would do this. So I was like, I felt confident. I was like, yeah, right. It was a fairly easy quilt too that she wanted. And I have just the binding left to do, but sending it off on Monday, and I feel 100% confident that it's well written, like industry standards. Like I feel really good about it, right?
That's amazing. So somebody else is paying you to write them a quilt pattern because they can see that you're doing this and you're doing such a great job at it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Right?
Dude, love it. That's so cool. And that kind of, that ties in as well, because you think about, okay, we're taking Quilt Design Code to learn how to write patterns, but it's not only about that. Like there's all these other opportunities. It's not just about selling your own quilt pattern. You have this opportunity to be a ghostwriter for somebody else, a technical editor. People are charging between $50 and $60 an hour to be a technical editor for quilt patterns. So there's these other kind of side hustle opportunities around these skills that you can learn as a quilt pattern designer as well, which I think are interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second as well. All right. There's a few people who I think are sitting on the fence right now about whether they should join Quilt Design Code or not. I've had a few questions coming in today, a couple of emails. People were kind of asking me some things, and it sounds to me like they're trying to make that decision. They're trying to come to that decision point. So I want to ask each of you, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence about enrolling in Quilt Design Code? Let's start with you, Anne.
What I would say is if you're truly on the fence, go ahead and take the course. I was on the fence last time as well. I emailed Allie. She gave me reasons that it might, work and be good to do with my service pattern design. And that really is what did it for me, is your involvement with your students and paying attention to them. So I'm so glad that I did it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm so glad that you did it too. It's been wonderful to get to know you and your businesses over the last months that we've been working together. So
yeah,
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How about you, Tracey? What would you say to somebody who might be sitting on the fence, like trying to decide whether they should take Quilt Design Code or not, whether they should start down this path of quilt pattern designer?
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. So, quilt pattern design, it's not just about writing a pattern. It's not just about designing a quilt or adding the pattern for that quilt. It's the coursing covers so much more. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I learned so much because I realized that I needed to learn so much more. And you presented it to us in such a way that made it easy for us to go away and learn that. And, I'm still learning. I sat on the fence for a long time. I think I signed up the day before the closing day. And one of my issues was, and I know it's a big thing for a lot of people, is it was initially, is this cost effective? Is it something I'm going to get my money back for? Can I afford it? And I'll be honest, at the time, I was even afraid to tell my husband that I was going to do this course. But I thought, I ummed and ahed about it, and I kept going back, and I kept coming back to it, and going away and coming back. And I thought in the end, look, you really want to do this course. This is something that you feel is important to me. I felt that it was an investment that I was going to make in my own future. And I just felt I had to do it. And I am so, so pleased I did, because I wouldn't have done probably 70% of the things I've done since. So, thank you. Thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you to you. And also thank you to the community that you build as well. Is that the group of people that you go through with are going to be there to support you. And you just learn so much, you develop so much, and it's up to you how much you get out as to how much you put in. That goes without saying, but you've got the support there all the while to help you. So yeah, go for it. That's what I'd say. Go for it.
Amazing. Tracey, wonderful. And, kudos to you. You're the one who's put in all of the work as well. That's why you're reaping the results now. Absolutely. How about you, Joe? What would you tell someone who's sitting on the fence?
As Tracey, just do it. You're going to come out of it with a quilt pattern, right? Like follow along each week and you're going to have a complete quilt pattern, right? It's great.
Yeah.
And along with that, I really enjoyed the feedback from the classmates. Right? Like you have a couple different iterations. That's like, which one do you like more? And they'll tell you, right? And it's fun. Right? It's just nice to get that feedback. And I had one, she's like, it reminds me of telescopes. And I was like, thought about it, like, and I named my pet, like I DM'd her after. I was like, can I name my pattern that? She was like, yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was calling it steps or something that I didn't really like. Right? So it was just great. So yes, I encourage them to do it.
Awesome. Love it. How about you, Deb? Have you got any advice for somebody who's thinking about joining Quilt Design Code, but they haven't made their decision yet?
I think like all of us, we put a lot of thought through this and, is this the right fit for me? I can 100% say this is so worth doing. And along with everybody else on the call here who's saying go for it. And it turned things around. I mean, I was getting to the point where I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, and I might have actually stepped away from this whole thing. And thankfully I didn't. Thankfully I took the class, and like I said, I ended up falling in love with design all over again. And if you're coming in and saying, okay, am I going to do much with, what if I only do this one quilt here? And is that going to be worth it? What if I decide not to continue with the quilt down the road? It gives you, if you're going in from surface pattern design, it gives you such a fantastic foundation and understanding, especially if you're designing fabric patterns to go into or go for the quilt market. It gives you all of that fundamentals and to build on from there. And one of the things I was going to say, as far as, what was one of the decisions that helped me make this, jump into Allie's class. And that was, I kept hearing over and over again that if you're going to be trying to license your patterns, that a lot of companies are going to want you to design a quilt pattern for it, to showcase your fabrics in that as part of the licensing agreement. So, like I said, there's so many different levels of what you can get out of this program, besides just, I'm going to write a quilt pattern. And, it goes way beyond that. And, Allie touches upon even the business side of it too, which is huge, and I think, and that's so important. A lot of times you get into these classes and it's all about the creative, but how do you take this creative and then put it into actual, real world experience and where you want to go with it from here. So I 100% go for it. And last thing to say is Allie she sets you up for success. I mean, I truly, I think all of us are nodding, and definitely. And we all were coming at it at different ways or different avenues. And so, Allie, you just have a great way of just tapping into each one and what we're doing and how, this goes ahead and it's pliable, and, how each unique situation, what you can do with it, and kind of thinking and dreaming beyond just a foundation class. So.
Thanks, Deb. I might have to get the tissues out or something. That was amazing. Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll just dovetail into that as well, what you're talking about, Deb. Yeah, not only is it about learning how to design a quilt pattern, and whether that's something that you keep going with after the program, it's just quilt patterns. You're also learning how to use these industry standard software programs, right? This is a hard skill that you're learning that is then going to serve you. Like you heard before, most of the people in school, if not everybody, is using, well, I think everybody here is using these software packages for something other than just quilt design. Like there are quilt design programs out there, but they're just for quilt design. If you learn Adobe Illustrator, you learn Adobe InDesign, you're learning these skills that you can apply to, Tracey's doing handouts for a course. Deb has a whole career in graphic design using these programs. Anne's using it for surface pattern. Joe has just released an online magazine. I'm assuming you're using InDesign for the magazine layout as well, right? So, I mean, there's all of these different areas that you can learn to apply these skills in as well, beyond just this. Any last words, anything else that you want to mention about your experience in Quilt Design Code, anything that you would share with somebody who is thinking about doing what you did, taking this path, moving towards, quilt pattern designer and joining Quilt Design Code? Any last words?
Just do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much, wonderful alumni. Can you give them some love in the chat, please? They have, taken some time off of their Saturday to come here and talk to you about these things. I'm also going to drop their contacts here in the chat as well, so you can go and check out their amazing website. They've got some great things up there as well. You can join up for their amazing freebies that they're offering on all of their different places. See what they've been up to, see what creations they have out in the world. A huge thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for being on this call with me. It's always wonderful to talk with you and to hear about all of the amazing things that you've been able to do on your creative paths. It's always mind-blowing to me. So thank you so much for joining here on this call. Super inspiring to hear from these incredible women, these alumni of Quilt Design Code. If you'd like to know more about Tracey, Deb, Ann, or Joe, you can find all of their links in the show notes if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, or down in the description for this episode if you're joining me here on YouTube. If you are inspired by these incredible creatives to come and join me in Quilt Design Code, I would love to welcome you to the program. This is an 8-week program where I walk you through the steps to design, write, and sell successful and unique quilt patterns so that you can confidently share your creativity with the world and you can start to grow a creative business that you love. I'd love you to head over to aliryde.com/QDC, that's Quilt Design Code, QDC, for all of the details. You can also find this link in the show notes or in the description down below this video if you're watching the video version. Registration for this program, it's only open for a short time. I'm looking forward to welcoming the next cohort of Quilt Design Code to my studio. So if it is a dream of yours to become a quilt pattern designer and learn the skills in Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign to create professional PDF quilt patterns that can become this digital asset, a foundation for growing your online business, then make sure you head to aliryde.com/QDC. I am excited to welcome you to Quilt Design Code. I can't wait to see the things that you will achieve with your creativity as you become a quilt pattern designer and creative entrepreneur. And who knows, I could even be interviewing you on a Creative Odyssey sometime in the near future. I really hope that hearing these incredible women and Quilt Design Code alumni talk about their experience in this program and what they've achieved since taking this course has really inspired you to take those next steps to making your creative dreams become a reality. If they did, you can do it. If they did it, you can do it too, right? I would love to welcome you to the family of these connected creatives in this small, close-knit community of Quilt Design Code alumni. So head over to aliryde.com/QDC to get all of the details and enroll in this program while you still can. I can't wait to see what you'll create on this journey as a quilt pattern designer, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.